Welcome to the Boston Sports Brew. The All-Star break is over, and despite trading half their team, the Celtics find themselves only a game and a half out of the 7th and 8th playoff seeds. Do we see postseason in the Green's future? The Bruins keep losing and have some Panthers on their tail for the final playoff spot in the East. What's happening to a team that many thought this season would rule the conference, and can they skate out of their rut? And I know it's cold, but baseball is around the corner. Friday, Red Sox pitchers and catchers report to Fort Myers. Will it be another worst of first season for the Sox? Mattious and I will tell you our thoughts on this edition of the Boston Sports Brew. Mattious, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, buddy? How you been?
I've been great. I've much better than you, I'm going to guess, because in New York City here, it's been cold as can be, but there's been absolutely no snow. Just about, a couple little flurries here and there, a couple inches, dustings, whatnot. But actually, just a cold place, not snowy.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable winter. Snowiest month of February ever for the Boston region. Down here in Providence, it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. I mean, wherever you go, you got snowbanks taller than me. Well, I'm not even that tall, so that doesn't really say anything, but probably about as tall as our buddy on the Boston Bruins, Mr. Big Z, Zdeno Chara.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's a good place to start the Boston Sports Brew today, because the Bruins are just struggling. And it was, for a little bit there, they got on a hot streak. They did well. Then, of course, they had to see their old buddies, the Canadiens, and that just messed them up again. They lose for the fourth time this season against them. Now they've lost 4 straight. It could be 5 straight if they lose to Edmonton. They're on a 5-game road trip all across the land, and they are literally only 4 points ahead of the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers for the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's free. They're going down a hill. It's free fall mode right now for the Bruins. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of them this season. Lately, I have tuned in, and they're just a disaster. There's many things that we can talk about. I mean, the defense is aging. We got a team that's lacking with the ability to score, which is not surprising. But when you have your supposedly strength of the team aging and not performing, Chara, Seidenberg, it's going to cause issues, obviously. And with that being said, there's issues all across the board. You got guys that are getting paid a lot of money and they're not performing. And then you throw injuries with Krejci starting off the year, not playing. There's a lot of bad things going on for the Bruins. And then you throw in their salaries for next year, and if I'm Chiarelli, you're in a tough predicament. I mean, either you're going to see what happens here and go into full sell mode, or you're going to try to get a couple pieces in and make a run, because believe it or not, the Eastern Conference is wide open, in my opinion, this year. Canadians have our kryptonite. They're our kryptonite. I totally understand that, and it's totally true. They've been blowing us out 4-0 this year against us, so with that being said, though, it's a tough spot. If they keep losing, I go crazy. I would trade away. And you got to trade away guys that have salaries and that are actually worthy. So you look at a guy like Tuukka Rask, Milan Lucic, one of them's going to have to go, period.
No, okay. So, look, I disagree. I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. I don't think that Rask should go at all. I think that would be way too harsh of a decision to make, and jumping ship way too quick.
How are you going to get better then? Who are you going to get? You need salary. Next year they've signed him, Bergeron.
So do you think Subban's going to be fine? You think he's just going to come up and be good? His stats in Providence aren't that great.
No, they're not that great, but you have to create salary cap somewhere. I mean, you got guys that under contract for a while now. Krejci, Chara, Rask, they're all to like 2018. Chara's the earliest, I'm pretty sure, and then 2021 for the other guys. I mean,
I know it
is what it is. Chiarelli said, "I'm going to go with this crew." Well, fine, you're going with this crew, but now you got guys like in the mid ground, like Erickson, Marchand, making like $4 or $5 million a year, and they suck.
Yeah, but the thing is that you have to remember about the Bruins, and Claude Julien said this, and he's absolutely right. The reason why the Bruins have won games in the past and been such a great team the past, 7 seasons is because of their mindset. Their blue chip, get out there, work hard, take my lunch bucket to work and just bash people and outplay them and outwork them.
But they're not doing that anymore.
And that's what they're not doing. This is why I do see it as disturbing, because they're trying to play like there's some kind of Chicago Blackhawks team.
They're not.
Where they got Patrick Kane that can do 50, dekes before scoring in the shootout goal to not win the game, because Sharp did that one against the Penguins the other night.
And they don't have anybody close to Patrick Kane.
They don't have that. No, you're right. And that is what annoys me. But the thing is, when they got called out by the CEO earlier in the season, Charlie, Jeremy, yeah, Charlie
Jacobs, yeah, he said everyone better be on like standby.
Which helped, because after that they won 4 or 5 straight. And now they had their all-star break and they've come back and they won a game or 2 and then it's all gone to hell. But they did get back into it. They need to play tough. That's the whole thing. Now, you brought up the defense. Chara, I don't think, is the issue. Dougie Hamilton, as always, seems to always have some bad mistakes when you just can't have them. And when I watch the Bruins, the biggest issue that they have, they get the puck, they just go up the ice. They're not setting themselves in the zone. They're usually a pretty good puck possession team, and they have not been that this season, or at least not during this losing streak. And they normally don't turn the puck over often. They make the other team, their forecheck is great usually. All these things are not happening. People are rushing down the ice like they're going to make some star play. I see Carl Soderberg, whatever, a huge-ass forward who should be bashing and definitely shouldn't be trying to do these breakaway plays left and right. I see him against the Flames the other night, just flying by himself down the ice against 3 Flames.
Yeah, stupid.
And he gets flamed.
Exactly. Stupid shit all over the place. You're exactly right with that. They don't have – I mean, Bergeron's great, but he's a great two-way player. And, I mean, Claude probably loves him and probably wants to sleep with him. But, I mean, with that being said, they don't have a goal scorer. They made one of the stupidest trades in Boston sports history, and that's getting rid of Seguin. And I'm always one of the advocates when it comes to a trade. If you are getting the best player, you made out. If you're giving away the best player, stupid decision. They got Eriksson, they got Smith,
and he's slow,
and some other dude. Yeah, Eriksson sucks. His contract is atrocious. And
it is atrocious. I don't know how he scored 25 goals or whatever he did in multiple seasons, over 20 goals with Dallas a couple years in a row.
I swear to God, he put up 40 one year. Maybe I'm dreaming, maybe I'm on drugs, who knows? But I swear to God, he put up like 40 goals one year.
His stats weren't that bad when you look at them, but they obviously weren't what you'd think Seguin could actually pull off. The thing was, whatever season that was, I think that Seguin got traded the year after they lost to Chicago in the Cup.
Yes.
And that was a strike-shortened season, and Seguin had 16 goals, 16 assists, 32 points in whatever amount of games that strike-shortened season was.
Oh, God, what a stupid move. I mean, it's easy to look back in hindsight now, but what do they need? They need a goal scorer right now. What don't they have? A goal scorer. Seguin was scoring goals. I mean, he was putting the puck in the net, and he was a guy that there was no reason to get rid of him. Yeah, he liked to go out and party. Well, guess what? So does Gronk. So does Edelman. If you perform on the freaking ice, if you perform on the field, I don't care. They're 21, 25-year-old guys. What do you expect? Droz and Mattious back in those days, we weren't angels ourselves. You know what?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, we weren't making millions of dollars. We weren't on the corporations that depend on us to perform and make them money. I understand that aspect. But they cut the leash with this kid way too early, and they didn't get anywhere close to his – they got like 50 cents on the dollar, if that, coming back with Riley Smith and Louis Eriksson.
Yeah, Riley Smith I like, but he seems to be one of those hot, cold guys. The whole thing with Seguin, and this is what they brought up.
They traded away a superstar who's 21. They're nuts.
Well, they are nuts, but and this is what they said on, I think it might have been Felger and Maz, but I think it was Mike Felger. But what he said was, they out of nowhere they win a Stanley Cup, and the year before that they were one of the best teams in all of the NHL. And they have the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yes,
so
it's like
Tyler Seguin. What team is one of the top 4 teams in hockey and gets to have the number 2 pick in the draft?
And then they have it again with Dougie Hamilton. It's like everything was set up perfectly for this team.
It was set up perfectly, and then what do? They freak out because he parties, and Sagan even says it. The rest of the team all was married. He's young. He's in the city by himself. There's no one to hang out with. So what does he go do? He goes and does what any 20-year-old would do.
Exactly.
Especially if he was a star hockey player in a city where we do appreciate our hockey.
It pisses me off. It really does. I mean, that trade.
It was a bad trade. It was always a bad trade. It was going to be a bad trade from the beginning. When I first heard it, I still love Sagan. He loves the Patriots. He was out there saying, what team did they asked all the hockey players on NHL Network, what team do you root for? He's like, I don't know if I should say this, but the New England Patriots. And you saw him the other day. He was hanging out with Chandler Jones. But the fact of the matter is, when they came, because the Stars were up in Boston, I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, and then there was rumors that he got the flu when he was out partying, and he really didn't have the flu. He was getting shit-faced somewhere, but that's whatever. Screw Sagan. He's gone, whatever. You got to look at what the team's made up right now. What is this team made up of? It's made up of a lot of guys underperforming, getting older before our eyes, and big contracts, okay? So with that being said, there's a couple things you got to do. Either you finagle around and get somebody and move some of the younger chips, because they do have younger chips. I know that. They have Pasternak. They have Subban. I mean, they have gotten younger defensemen like Krug or Miller that they could trade and get somebody.
Don't trade Krug.
Okay, that's fine. What's that?
I like Krug. I like his personality. Okay, I know he's not quite the defenseman, but he plays. I like his mindset. He's got moxie.
That's fine, but he's also up at the end of the year, and so's Smith, and they got guys making a lot of money, Droz. And I mean, in the NHL, yeah, the salary, the cap might go up a little bit, but they got guys with monstrous contracts that they're gonna have to move somebody. Period. Well, it is what it is.
Riley Smith could be up in there. I could maybe give on Riley only because he's kind of reminds me of Michael Ryder, which once again he could be hot for all these weeks for 3 weeks straight, and then you don't even hear his name for a month.
Yeah, it's frustrating right now to watch this team. It's frustrating. They're not the same Bruins that we have seen in the past.
But that being
I'm said, crazy, so freaking trade Rask. I don't really care. Call me
No, I think that's just out of your mind.
I told you I'm in a mood today, so you might get some.
You can be in your mood, but that mood is sending you into orbit, out into space, my friend. Because
that's perfectly fine. If you don't,
the last person that can be traded.
Then trade Lucic. Trade Lucic, fine, go for it. I don't care.
Well, everyone wants to complain. They think he doesn't hit enough people. He's not playing hard enough.
He's not the fourth line banger like people used to feel like he is when he first came into the league. He can't be out punching and breaking his hand and being out. The guy is a first or second line player. He doesn't put the puck in the net enough, in my opinion. Anyways, for his contract, man, he's not doing enough.
He's not the most skilled guy with the puck. But he never was. So that's not who he is.
Exactly, but the Bruins have gotten away from that tough-ass mentality.
But that's the attitude they need to get back to. That's the whole point. They need to get back
there. They can't do that anymore, though. The guys who they have on the third and the fourth line, they just aren't like that. Sean Thornton is not walking through that door.
Right.
Okay, he was a really big guy in that locker room. Now he's praying that the Bruins choke. I don't blame him. I saw him quoting that the other night. And you got guys, they're not the same, period.
Well, they're at this point, obviously, as bad as it is,
there
is hope.
As bad as it is, fine. Then okay, what are you going to do, Droz? What would you do? You're saying you don't want to trade Lucic, you don't want to trade Rask. Fine.
No, I wait till the season's over. I wait to see if they can hold it out because I think right now, first off, because if that happens, Claude is gone because that's the way Claude plays. And if that happens, Chiarelli's gone because that's the way Chiarelli likes to build a team. So that knocks out two of your guys right there. You're going to knock out Chiarelli, who could have been maybe the best general manager in Boston in a long time. I know a lot of people might want to say Theo Epstein, but I'm going to go with Chiarelli. I think he came in, he got rid of Joe Thornton. And first off, he came in from Ottawa and made Ottawa good, and then Ottawa was horrible once he left. Then he saved the Bruins, which were a horrible team if you don't recall after the strike, and brought them back to prominence, trading away their best player. I mean, Chiarelli's been great.
I mean, fine. Maybe I'm contradicting myself by saying if you trade away the best player, I did say that earlier. I understand that, but they're in such a cap difficulty spot right now. Like when they made these deals, I said, they're going with who they got, and they're not going to have a lot of leverage. You signed Krejci 6-year deal, Bergeron 8-year, Rask 8, Chara's going to 2018. You got Marchand to 2017. Fine, don't trade away Rask. That's fine. They have to trade somebody away, though, to alleviate that cap pressure. So fine, I rescind what I said earlier. Don't trade Rask, but Marchand, Lucic, you got guys like Dougie Hamilton, as well as and Krug, that contracts are up at the end of this year. You can't sign these guys if you have Lucic and Marchand making boatloads of money and not doing what they should be doing, and Eriksson making boatloads of money. That's all I'm trying to say.
Fine. Eriksson, I would have no problem getting traded away or whatever you can do, if anyone would even take him. And Riley Smith, I do believe, got an extension at least. I don't know if it was only for a season or whatnot. But then Lucic, this is how I feel about him. If they want to, if he doesn't turn it around, fine, get rid of him at the end of the season, trade him at the end of the season. The one thing that scares me about Lucic was after last season's playoff series against the Montreal Canadiens, when we had all that crap that went on the ice at the end of the series, and he got a lot of heat in Montreal for being a little baby and everything, and I kind of think that might have gotten to him. I don't know. Something about that whole thing worried me with him, and because he got stuff before with Vancouver, and he's from Vancouver, and he had all the problems over there, but I think he was more in the right there, and in Montreal he was in the wrong, and as much of the bitches the Montreal Canadiens can be and are, he was in the wrong at the end of that series. So I have been worried about Lucic, and maybe that could have some reason on why he has not played as well this season as he has in the past, or not as forceful, not as strong, not as aggressive. And if he doesn't play aggressive, he is useless. He is useless because he cannot handle the puck and he's a forward.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of directions they go in here. I mean, you already outlined one of them. We have a team pretty much underperforming all over the board. You ride it out. You don't do anything. And you know what? The players in the ice haven't done enough to tell Chiarelli, go do something, go get something. And if I was Chiarelli, I'd be like, hey, guys, you suck this year. You know what? You suck. Why should I go out and get rid of draft picks, get rid of a good young player? Because you're not really showing me a lot. So you could do that. 2, you try to get a couple little pieces and make some run. Because, yes, like I said, the Eastern Conference is a little bit open. Or 3, you make a major deal and try to get ready for the future. They're going to have to do one of those things. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
No, okay, and that's fine. One last thing, though. The fact of the matter is, early in the season, they were dealing with some major injuries. Krejci was messed up no one even ever really explained what was wrong with him.
No, it was like a Patriot thing. Like, you never found out what was wrong with this guy.
No, and he was in and out of the lineup for a good month and a half. Then Chara was injured for a month and a half. Then you had Marchand, who you didn't know, he was in and out of the lineup as well. Not quite as much as Krejci, but he wasn't there all the time. And other people, quite a few defensemen, they were all out. I mean, Seidenberg was the one guy that was in consistently. McQuaid being out, he's always out for some period of time. And Miller, who is now out again because apparently Claude says he hurt himself in the game against Calgary, and Claude says about, I don't know, a couple hours ago, he said that it does not look good.
Oh, it doesn't. I saw that.
With Miller's hand. So Miller could be out, and that he's played well.
Oh,
so,
God, I mean,
Injuries have been a problem early, and now I'm not going to call injuries for this current losing streak they're on, but I'm going to say that you got to remember that injuries did mess them up earlier in the year, and to be fair.
I agree. I mean, Miller's, I feel like, is always on the ice when they score a goal. He's had a decent year. I don't mind that guy. But fact of the matter is, back to the point, you got too many guys in this team underperforming, period, that are making a lot of money. So they're going to have to go with one of those 3 things, period, that I said, one of those 3 directions.
And speaking of direction, the Celtics, I don't know what direction they should go in right now. They find themselves with 21 wins in 51 games into the season, only a game and a half out of the 8th and 7th playoff spots in the Eastern Conference, behind Charlotte Hornets again, actually, and Miami Heat. And you got the Brooklyn Nets sitting half game ahead of the Celtics, and then behind the Celtics you got Detroit, and I can't remember whoever the other team is, but they're a game behind them. So there's a little bit of a traffic jam there.
That's fine. They all suck anyway.
Yeah, well, that may be true, but the Celtics actually, and this is after the Celtics have traded Rondo. They've traded Jeff Green, which I have no problem with either of those moves. But yet they're still sitting there. They're still competing. I don't think they have anybody better than a 6th man on their team. I think it's a team filled with 6th men. And I don't know how that could ever win. But, but, I'm going to go on the side and say I want them to make the playoffs. Because at this point, no matter what.
What are you, bored with the winter or something?
No, because at this point, I don't think they'll win in the playoffs. But at this point, you got a bunch of young guys with no real star on the team. They might as well just play it out, try to get, maybe they get in the playoffs, maybe they don't. But I would have no problem if they do get in the playoffs. Let me say it this way. I'm not mad if they do get in the playoffs. Like before, I kind of wanted them to tank. Now, I don't think they're going to get better than the 12th or the 11th pick in the draft anyways, even if they don't make the playoffs. So they might as well make the playoffs, get a little experience with all their little sixth men out there. Let Sullinger play in there, let Marcus Smart. Maybe they'll finally put James Young on the floor and he'll get a chance to do some stuff. Get them all out there, get them some seasoning, get rid of Evan Turner at some point because he thinks he's God right now, even though I know you made a shot to beat the Hawks, but man, and the Trailblazers. But you shoot like 30% from the field. You got to shoot better than that, buddy. But beyond that, I mean, I just go. I'd ride it out. I'd have no problem with the team making the playoffs. I don't think anything much better happens if you don't. And I think if you get in, you can get some experience. You're going to probably get swept out in the first round. But hey, whatever. You fought. You got to play as hard as you wanted. And these guys didn't have to have any little tanking. Not that any team. I don't think the players ever really truly tank, but I think it'd be nice for them. And it's a horrible Eastern Conference, whatever.
All righty, we got Brian, Tommy, Heinz, and Droz today. I like this. Thanks. Hey. He wants them to go to the playoffs. All right, well, that's fine.
I don't think they're going to win.
No, they're not going to win. Of course they're not going to win. But I could care less. I'm not going to lie. It was funny because early in the year, where I work at, we were just hanging around, and I was like, that'd be something this year if the Celtics actually get in the playoffs, because it was like one of their first – they won like the first game of the season, and the Bruins lost. And I was just saying blasphemy coming out of my mouth, and I go, that'd be funny if the Celtics made the playoffs this year and the Bruins don't. And now on February 17th, it could actually happen. That's the scary thing. But you're right. This team is made up of a bunch of guys that would start nowhere on any team in the NBA that is going to be going to the playoffs for that matter. I mean, maybe somebody would in the Eastern Conference, but the Eastern Conference is a joke compared to the West. The Celtics have, like you said, a bunch of guys that are like six men on the floor. I do like some of the younger. I do like Smart. I do like that pick. I do like James Young. But these guys are puppies. You don't win in the NBA with puppies. All right? So I don't know where this team's going to be going. You got Trader Danny probably figuring something out because even he knows you're not going to win with young guys in this league. I could care less. Go to the playoffs, fine. Give me something to watch on TV. It doesn't bother me because if we go to the lottery, our luck sucks with the lottery. And you're right. We're not going to get a pick that is going to be a game changer. We're really not. I mean, look at Marcus Smart. He was supposedly in the draft of the century last year with everybody underneath the sun. He was like the 5th or the 6th pick. And I mean, no offense. I've seen some flashes of, I wouldn't say greatness, but good flashes of a good, solid player. And he was like the 5th or the 6th pick. So what I'm trying to say is this draft is weaker. I watch a lot of college basketball. There's only one guy that I think is going to change a team around immediately, and that's Jahlil Okafor.
And I completely agree.
He's like Anthony Davis all over again. The guy is an absolute monster. We're not going to get him. So either way, I don't really care. I just want to see the young guys improve, and I want to see them at least maintain what they're doing out there so that not only that happens, but you keep a guy like Brad Stevens around. I love what Brad Stevens is doing with this team. I think he's a pretty decent coach. But the fact of the matter is nobody likes losing. And if they keep on losing and if they can never get guys to come here, Stevens is not going to stay here, period.
Well, look, I want him to stay because I want continuity. I like continuity. I like coaches staying. I do not like people getting fired and hooked quick.
Oh, so do I.
I don't think that's good.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. Even if they're losing, especially this kind of team where you know they're going to lose anyways.
I mean,
who cares?
He knew what he was getting himself into. I understand that, but money is scary, man. Anytime somebody comes up to you and gives you a lot of money, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, but who's going to give Stevens the money now? Are you saying Stevens is going to get money from someone? What, like another college team?
You never know, man. He might say, screw the NBA. I mean, plenty of college coaches have tried this before, and then they failed. He had great success at Butler, a no-name school. This guy goes back to, say, college. I mean, he'll do fine recruiting, obviously. So
yeah, he'll do fine, and Calipari's done it, and Patino's done it, but the fact of the matter is, and Stevens obviously had those 2 seasons at Butler that were great, but I do not see Butler, I do not see Stevens failing right now. He's not failing. He's on a team that no one expects to win. I don't think many people in Boston thinks he's failing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's failing. I'm just saying after a while, do you like to lose?
No,
nobody likes to lose.
Not.
So it's really important that they get some guys that are over the age of like 24 onto this roster. You do not win in the NBA without guys that have been playing for a while. It is a fact. Look how long it took the Mr. King to win his title. It took him forever. Can't win as a young guy. You don't win as a young guy in the NBA.
Oh,
Mr. King, James, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so look, I actually think Danny Ainge is eventually going to pull the trigger on deals for players that are not for actual players, not for draft picks. I think what he's going to do, he's going to take some of these young guys that he's got, whatever, maybe an Olynyk. I know they love him. I don't know why. But maybe an Olynyk. Maybe obviously you got Thornton in there. Gerald Wallace sits there making $10 million. I think that's done after this year, so who cares?
It's great. It's a good point you bring up because they have that contract expiring, Tayshaun Prince expiring, and they have about 1,000,001 draft picks too. So I feel like Trader Danny's out there, like thoughts are percolating in his head, and he's going to make a deal that involves draft picks to get someone who's over the age of 25. It's going to happen. I mean, it has to happen. The only thing that I worry about is, and it was worrisome with Garnett, it's not easy to come play in Boston. I mean, you look outside right now, and there's about 85 million feet of snow. Would you want to come play here? I mean, yeah, the tradition's here. All right, it was easier for him and Allen because you had Paul Pierce at the time, but free agents don't come to Boston. You don't hear them say, "Ooh, I want to come to Boston." You know what I'm trying to say? It's a tough spot to recruit, man. It really is.
That's why you got to force the hand and make a good trade. So with that being said, Danny Ainge has to make a move.
Yeah, traded Danny.
But the big thing now, see, this could be another benefit of making the playoffs, because now if they make the playoffs, you maybe, I don't know, someone like Olynyk or Marcus Thornton comes to life. He actually has played very well the last 4 games. He's been nailing 3-pointers at over 50%, I think. You get someone like that. Someone has a nice hot showing. Maybe they win a game, maybe 2 games in the first series, and then they get knocked out. And people go, wow, that guy kind of played pretty well on a pretty bad team against a team like the Hawks or the Cavaliers or whoever in the world is up there, the Bulls. And they go, maybe, their trade, they become more valuable. And someone wants this young guy to add to their squad. And maybe they have too many other older guys or more veterans. They're going to ask for too much money. And they say, okay, we can't afford to keep this guy, but we could definitely take this guy, and we think he's an up-and-comer now. And you can then throw in one of those contracts that we have, those expiring contracts, throw in, one of the young players that maybe stepped up in the playoffs that got a chance on a big stage to show that he's worthwhile having, and then get someone else's bigger name player that they can't afford. I don't know, maybe somewhere like Memphis. I don't see them getting rid of Marc Gasol, but maybe. You never know.
Freaking way. He's going to be a free agent, I think, too, so he's going to want everything underneath the sun, but.
Well, maybe he comes then after you make a trade.
I don't know, man. Like, back to the initial conversation, you got 6 men all over the place. Bass, Bradley, Olynyk, Sullinger. There's nobody on. You get rid of anybody. There's not one guy.
Everyone's tradable.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone is tradable, minus, young and smart. They're just way too early in the process to figure that one out. I understand that, but besides that, you just got a bunch of guys, and maybe it shows like Brad Stevens, and he doesn't want Danny to trade anyone. He was coming out to say that because as a coach, you want continuity. And it's easy to coach young guys. They're playing for their lives because they want to somehow get a contract one day. You don't have to deal with those prima donna assholes, old guys that are crazy. So with that being said, he wants these guys to stay around because they're easy to coach. They're working hard for this guy. And with that being said, it's going to be interesting to see if they do anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Make the
it will
playoffs,
be.
fine. I don't care. Like I said, it'll give me something to watch because we don't have luck in the lottery, and it doesn't matter either way whether or not we're picking 10 or 15, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't mean anything. In fact, if for whoever out there likes Rajon Rondo, I mean, he wasn't even selected by the Celtics. They selected, I believe, someone out of Boston College, traded him away for Rondo, but Rondo was like the 19th pick or something in the draft.
Yeah, he was like the 21st pick, Phoenix.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. So I mean, and not to mention, Ainge has done a pretty good job with selecting players that aren't picked in the top 10. So I have no problem with that. And like you said, they never, even whenever they've had chances to get high picks because of their positioning with the lottery balls, they've done nothing. The ball has not fallen their way.
Yeah, no
They
luck.
never won it. I always remember Adam Silver, the year where before they got Allen and Garnett, he was sitting there, and the Celtics had two of the best chances, two of like the top 5 chances. What was it? No, that was the other one. They had the best chance overall to get the number 1 pick. And he got number 5.
Yeah, they do all that stupid lottery bullshit, like picking the balls before they actually go on air. And it was interesting because I remember talking to my brother, and I'm like, oh, look at Tommy Heinsohn. He looks pissed off. I'm like, that's not good because they sent Tommy Heinsohn as the lucky guy. And what happened? Yeah, we didn't get one of the top picks. I mean, one of them would have been disastrous because Danny Ainge says he was going to take Durant. Who knows if that's true? He came out and said that. People would have probably like shot him the couple nights after the draft. But now we look behind, and now Danny Ainge would have been like the biggest genius in the world, not taking Greg Oden. But with that being said, yeah, the lottery is all luck. All right,
it's a lottery.
Exactly,
it's like any lottery.
It's like any lottery. That's why it's the lottery. People that are dumb play it, and because you're never gonna win. You could get lucky every now and then. But with that being said, the luck's not on our side when it comes to it. So fine, go to the playoffs, take on the Hawks. Great.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. They beat the Hawks 1 game, and if they win 1 game, that could be a good thing. Win 1 game.
I'm just curious. I'm just more curious to see what they're going to do in the future. Obviously, like I haven't looked to see what's coming up free agent wise in the off season. But you're right. I mean, maybe if you do go to the playoffs and show something, you can make a move. Someone might be like, oh, they got some young talent there. In the end, we all know it talks, and that it's the 5-letter word that starts with M, money.
Yeah, well, it's going to be coming down to money, but they're going to make a trade. Danny Ainge is going to make a trade for someone. I think this is going to kind of go out like the year when Ray Allen came in and Garnett. I think they're going to make a trade with some of their young pieces. They got rid of Al Jefferson back then. They'll get rid of a lot of these young guys along with picks and whatever expiring contracts to get some people over here, and that's going to be what ends up happening. They just want to see what they're working with. And so let them do it. I don't think they're going to make any deals at this trade deadline. They've already made 80 deals this season, and there's not much more they can do. So they might as well just roll this out. And I think after that, at the end of the season, you'll see them make some deals, and we'll see who comes in.
Oh, you could see them make it.
Draft day.
What's that? Sorry.
Right around draft day.
Yeah, I mean, you could see them. You got to look at shitty teams too in the West. Would you take a guy like DeMarcus Cousins?
No.
That's fine. That's just a question. But don't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah, well, look.
I'm telling you right now, it's a lot easier to trade with a team that sucks. And for a guy that obviously is a head case, but he does have talent, he's a borderline. He could have made the All-Star team this year. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
There's a lot of teams out there like that. I mean, for a while I thought that Detroit hated Greg Monroe, which I never understood. It seems like now it's all good. Now Josh Smith has been jettisoned out of there, but that would be a guy I'd be looking at. Greg Monroe is fantastic. I don't know if Detroit's looking to get rid of him still. I thought Van Gundy didn't like Greg Monroe. But
I like Drummond better, but I mean, you're never going to get him.
Yeah, we don't need Drummond. Greg Monroe's great. I thought he was one of the Georgetown centers to come out and recently and not seem like a little bit of a teddy bear.
Where's Roy Hibbert, baby?
I can't deal with him. I mean, he seems fine as a guy, but just as a player, and
he's the softest 7'2" guy in the world.
Exactly. You cannot have that if he's 7'2". We don't need that. No need for that whatsoever. So the Celtics, they will make a trade. Go to the playoffs, Celtics, and try your best. Just try your best. Just ride this out And then, yes, as you say, Mattious, Trader Danny can go work his magic and hopefully bring someone else in here and maybe resurrect this franchise or at least make them better than a below 500 team.
That's fine. I mean, as a fan, and that's what we are as a fan and someone that, watches this stuff, we love trades. We love playoffs. We don't like a team that just stands pat. So when it comes to the Bruins and the Celtics, all I got to say is I hope they do something. It sparks up the conversation, and it makes this a lot, I guess, more fun to talk about. It does.
And if you feel that way, Mattious, then you must really love the Red Sox right now because they have been the master of making moves this offseason. Ridiculous amounts. They have a whole new pitching staff. Bring in Hanley Ramirez. Bring in Pablo Sandoval. Rusney Castillo was last year, but still he's new. A whole new team. Obviously, they were the worst team in the league last season. This season, I don't know what to say. A lot of people think they're going to be a lot better. I just saw the over-under in Vegas was 84.5 wins. That wouldn't be a playoff team, but that would be a solid team, especially considering their ace is Clay Buchholz. But you never know with the Red Sox, and pitchers and catchers report Friday to training camp or to Fort Myers. So we'll see how this all plays out. But let me just, before we go any further, let me just break down right now what the Red Sox lineup, how they stack up right here. 1 through 5 starting pitchers.
Okay, just to interrupt you for a second. Yeah, you mentioned the Vegas, but guess what? With the 84 or whatever, the over-under, they're actually the team favored to win the American East.
Yeah, and that's
crazy. But if you take a deep look at it, yeah, it makes sense because the American East is not what it used to be.
It may not be, but let's just name who they got here. Okay, so starting 5 in the pitching staff, Clay Buchholz is your number 1 starter.
Gumby, all right.
Yes, he's sitting there. He'll be number 1. Rick Porcello is your number 2 starter. No, I actually like that.
Nice Italian guy, right? Italian?
Yeah, he's been getting better every year. I have no problem there.
Richie!
Wade Miley, number 3.
Ooh.
He'll be coming out. The side armor, the Justin Masterson, number 4. Joe Kelly is your 5th starter.
Oh, he's winning the Cy Young this year, he said.
Yeah, I know. He's very confident.
Did you see that? Yeah, Joey.
I did see that. Koji Uehara, he's your 40-year-old closer. And then the outfield goes Hanley Ramirez in left field, a man who's never played the outfield, and a man who doesn't like to play when he has toothaches. He likes to be out of the lineup.
Oh, that's your favorite player. Stop it, Droz.
Yeah, he's in left. And then we got Rusney Castillo sitting in center field. We really don't know anything about him because he's from Cuba, and, he could be crazy like Yasiel Puig, or he could, be Abreu from the White Sox. Who knows? No one knows. Mookie Betts in right field. I actually really like Mookie. I will say that. Pablo Sandoval at third base.
Oh, did you see his gut?
Yeah, so that's.
Did you see the picture that came out the last couple of days? That guy looked like he put on about 50 pounds in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I mean,
you don't want to see it. He is the epitome of unhealthiness. I guess that's what happens. You make $95 million, you gain about 95 pounds. He looks like a fat slob, dude. Take a look.
He's probably like Lendell White. All I remember when he got drafted, he sat there with everyone down below him. He had his little king's chair in the middle, and he was like God. Now Pablo doesn't seem like Lendell White personality-wise, but at the same time, he gets all this money. Yeah, maybe.
I couldn't believe when I saw his
man that likes to eat.
Freaking gut yesterday. How big? Whatever. Next.
We'll talk about that later. Shortstop Xander Bogaerts, second baseman Dustin Pedroia. Those two have been working out together this offseason. First baseman Mike Napoli. Your designated hitter, of course, Big Papi, David Ortiz. And catcher Christian Vasquez. So that's your 2015 Boston Red Sox as presently constituted before the season starts, before spring training even starts. So, Mattious, what do you think? I'll let you take the floor first. What is this team? Is this the best team in the AL East?
I'll be honest. 1, I hate this team. 2, I can't answer whether or not it's the best team because I haven't done enough research on the other teams. But I know there wasn't really a lot of moves made. So, yeah, it has the potential, believe it or not, to be the best team. But, I mean, as we went over the players that you mentioned, a lot of laughters, a lot of guys that I don't personally like. You got Gumby leading the staff as our ace. That's scary. You got a lot of guys that are like threes in the rotation. You don't really have a ace on the staff. You have an overstaffed outfield. You didn't even mention like Daniel Nava, Brock Holt, Alan Craig, Jackie Bradley Jr., Shane Victorino. You got guys that are going to be pissed off that aren't going to play. I'm not even going to make the team. I mean,
but they're not the starters. They're not listed as the starters.
I know they're not listed as the starters, but you think Shane Victorino is going to want to sit on the bench for $14 million a year?
No, of course not. And I don't think the Red Sox want him sitting on the bench and getting $14 million either.
Well, I mean, where are you going to play him then? You got to.
Well, you got to get rid of him. That's what you got to do somehow.
Who the hell is going to take Shane Victorino for $14 million a year?
Look, I don't know who's going to take anybody, but the Red Sox made about or at least two horrible moves this offseason, in my opinion, and another couple pretty bad moves.
I mean, okay. They don't have a pitching staff that is trustworthy, first off. You got Buchholz listed as the ace who could go down with a hangnail for the entire season tomorrow. Yeah. Porcello's okay. Miley I don't trust. You're coming from Arizona to the AL East. Okay, whatever. That's crazy. Masterson, fine. I don't have an issue with him. Joe Kelly, you're coming to the AL East. You think you're going to win the Cy Young? Yep, we'll see that. Hanley Ramirez is garbage. I mean, he's always hurt. He's got a piss-poor attitude. If there was one team that I think he could work out on, I do think it's the Red Sox just because of the ethnicity that's on this team with Ortiz. Rusney Castillo, who the hell knows? I like Betts. Sandoval's fat. I don't like him as a sign-in anyway. Or Ramirez, their contracts are way too lucrative and for too long. I think Bogarts bounces back this year. I really do. I don't think he's overrated. I think he had a bad year, and I think that out of everybody in the team, he's going to be the MVP of the team if I had to pick someone. Pedroia's stats have been going down every single year. He does say he's finally healthy. Yeah, he's always hurt.
His thumb gets hurt at the beginning of every season. Literally, the first game of the last two seasons, he's pretty much broken his thumb.
I know. I understand that. And then you got the party man Napoli at first. We know what he does. He strikes out and he hits he hits home runs. He's not a Droz player. I understand that. And then you got Ortiz. Yeah, Ortiz is fine, but once again, what is he now? 39, 40?
Yeah, he's 39. 39, or he could be 50 for all we know.
Exactly. So I mean, he could go down. Vasquez, I don't mind. You got Swihart in the waiting in the win anyway. And then you got the bullpen. You got some solid. You actually do have some solid arms out there. I understand that, but trusting a guy like Yui Hara as a closer who supposedly now is saying coming out that he was hurt because he ended the year last year in a disaster type of way. He looked awful. So yeah, I mean, by listening to my tone, I don't sound too high on this team, and I don't think that's going to change.
I think this team is one of the worst teams in not only the AL East, in the American League.
Jesus, I was hoping we would disagree on something, but go for it. Go.
I think they're horrible. Horrible. The worst signing in the world is Hanley Ramirez. I do not know how, after watching, first off, what happened at the end of his career in Miami, where I don't know if it was Florida or Miami at that point, where he went from being a 320 hitter to a 240 hitter and couldn't stay on the field and was getting in fights with everybody. He gets traded to the Dodgers, has a good year for like a half a year actually, and then the next year he's getting hurt every other day, and he can't stay on the field, and his average has gone back down to like 270, and he's getting older. Do not like it, and you hear more about him being a problem in the clubhouse. Do not like Hanley Ramirez. Horrible signing, way too many years, way too much money. Do not know why you brought him back, Ben Cherington, because you got rid of him in the first place, however many years ago that was when Josh Beckett came over here. Don't take him back. That was dumb. I think first of all, I think Ben Cherington should be fired for that signing and then the Pablo Sandoval signing. Mr. Fat Boy should not be here.
Yes,
that
fire away, Droz. Fire away.
To go. He should not be here. He is overweight. He's been hurt every year. His stats aren't even that great when he does play. And I like his walks and strikeouts and his defense at third. But eventually he's not even going to be able to walk to third base because he's going to get too fat. That annoys me.
I don't know who's going to be needing a walk-up first, either him or Ortiz. At least Ortiz's fat ass is on the bench, but they're saying, okay, we signed Sandoval, and if weight's an issue, he's going to be our designated hitter when Ortiz goes. Like, are you serious? Like, who dreams this shit? Seriously.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to project that in advance at this point on Ortiz. I mean, whatever. Charrington, horrible. Alan Craig, that trade last year for Lackey for Craig was horrible.
Oh, God, my goodness. You have an in-and-eater who pitched great last year. He came back from Tommy John, looks hell of a lot better, and we go out there, and now we get Alan Craig, who, Lackey would have been on 1 or 2, and now we got Alan Craig, I was like our 8th or 9th outfielder. The guy's not even going to make the opening day roster, and if he does, that'd be a surprise, because we already mentioned 5 or 6 guys that are ahead of him. It's asinine what's going out there. You had Cicchini, who's supposed to be the third base prospect. Maybe he is in the future. Like I said, Sandoval can go to DH, but still. And then you got, what's the other guy? Brock Holt, that had a great year last year, but in my opinion, he's nothing. I mean,
yeah, if you look, he really is. I agree with you. If you look at his stats, I mean, maybe he can hit. I mean, he hasn't even been consistent throughout his minor league career.
No, I mean,
this is a flash in the pan. He's like a Gordon Beckham or something, and even not even that, because Gordon Beckham has power.
Yeah. So with that being said, then I just feel like they went out there and they were like drunk one night and they said like, "Ooh, let's play darts and throw darts at like pictures of guys and sign them as free agents for pitchers. Ooh, let's get this guy. He sounds good. Ooh, let's get that guy. This sounds good." It's like, are you kidding me right now? You got rid of Lester. You got rid of Lester. You didn't want to give Lester money. Okay, we know. All right, we could argue this. He's 30. After 30, look at all the big contracts. They all suck. Okay, but I would have rather have them spend the money on John Lester than bring in some fat ass to play third and some guy who doesn't really care half the time to play left field instead of signing a guy that actually cares. That's what aggravates me the most about the money. It's not my money. I don't care. Ticket prices are going to be sky high. I mean, it is what it is when it comes to the Red Sox. They're going to spend the money. They have the money, but at least spend it like remotely, like knowledgeable. Like, was he drunk when he did this?
I don't know. There's just so many things that they could have done. I mean, Mookie Betts is out there. You got Castillo. You got Nava. You could put Nava as an underrated player. Put Nava out there, and he's cheaper. You don't need to do all this. Spend some more money on pitching. Get Samardzija. You could have brought a lot of guys in here. You didn't have to bring in Lester, but you didn't need to sign Sandoval and Ramirez. Bogarts, I completely agree with you that people are way too harsh on him. He has one bad year. If you don't forget, in the postseason the previous year, he was great for the Sox when they win a World Series. I'm not down on Bogarts. He had one bad year. He's, 21, 22? I don't know how old he is. He's young.
He'll be the MVP of this team, and if he might be the first MVP, and Mookie Betts, I think, better. First off, Mookie Betts better lead off. If they don't lead him off, they're crazy. I've been hearing they might go with Rusney Castillo.
No.
Mookie Betts better be leading off.
Mookie Betts is a walking machine. He was walking even when he came to the Red Sox last year.
I know. He's a Droz player. I understand this.
He is such a draw. Yes, he's such a my kind of guy. I love Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, there should be no one else should even touch him. That is the guy that should be getting the contract. If you look at his stats in the minor leagues, I mean, they're not quite Mike Trout, but you're looking at a guy that's going to be a superstar. So Mookie Betts is a superstar on this team.
What do you think the lineup's going to look like then?
It's going to look horrible. I mean, what it's going to look like originally, what they think it's going to look like is not what it's going to look like after about a week. But what I think if they start Rusney Castillo, first off, I don't even know what his stats are in Cuba because I can't get them anywhere. And did you hear this?
Andrew Castro.
They're looking for this. There's this other Cuban that they want now.
God,
who plays in the infield.
Did you see his body?
No.
That guy is. I need to get on whatever he's like. He is a Greek god. They showed a picture of him with
the new Cuban.
Yes,
the one they're talking about, the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox apparently want.
Yes, he is totally on HGH or steroids. It's obvious. I mean, his body is so cut. He had like a Under Armour type of shirt on, but everything was like you could see like he was chiseled. And who knows? You're right. Who knows with this guy? But the Red Sox are involved in that. Another Cuban player. It's like
go join the WWE or whatever. I don't need Mr. America on the team.
Probably like 28 anyway.
And apparently, I did read up on him, though. He only hit 277 the past 2 seasons in the best league in Cuba.
Who, Rusney?
Rusney? Just no, not Rusney. I'm talking about the other guy that they want to come in. So they just better not go anywhere near him. Not to mention that apparently they're over their tax on international player signings for this season, so they'd have to pay double whatever the hell the signing was. So I think it would be like a $30 million signing bonus. It would end up costing them $60 million. Oh. They'd be taxed another double, basically.
I don't care. It's not my money. It's John Henry's, yeah. But
whatever. They're idiots, and Cherington should lose his job for all these things. I honestly, bye Ben Cherington. I'm sorry to say it. I am sick of this. I don't care if you won a World Series. Bye. But yeah. So the lineup, it should be Mookie Betts should lead off. Then you should have, I would guess in their world, they'd have Pedroia batting second. They're going to say then, okay, fine, probably Hanley Ramirez third, Ortiz fourth, Sandoval fifth. I guess then you go
Napoli, Castillo, Bogarts,
Napoli,
Vasquez.
Yeah, that's about right.
Dude,
that sounds
right. For some freaking reason, I guarantee you they bat like Bogarts 8th or 9th. But fine, you want to be like that, go for it. And if Hanley Ramirez is batting third, that's cool. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, just wait, because when Hanley Ramirez, Sandoval, and Ortiz all fall, Ortiz deserves some credit around here. Obviously, he's been a savior for the Red Sox so many times. So I'll take it easy there. But the fact of the matter
I don't care. If David Ortiz goes out there and sucks, I don't really care. I'm still going to love him. But those two other guys...
Yeah, exactly. Ortiz can have as much slack as he wants, but the other two, they don't get it. They don't get it at all. And when they're all sitting, 1 month into when we're in May and we don't have any of them in the lineup, and then you need, I don't know, Castillo to bat cleanup, the unknown Castillo, then you see how happy you are with these moves. Because that's going to be the problem. They're not going to stay on the field, and the Red Sox are going to be doomed because they're going to have these guys forever, and you're going to have one man who doesn't want to lose weight and just doesn't care, and Hanley, who just doesn't care in general. No. He doesn't care. If he gets pissed off, he'll say, hey, screw it, I don't want to play today. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I could see him going into the wall to take a piss like Manny did, too, and not even
we got
not even
Ramirez
come out.
number 2.
Exactly. I mean, the one good thing, though, I will say about the Red Sox, and they better not screw this up. They really better not. I hear the rumors with Cole Hamels. Don't get rid of Swihart. Don't get rid of Henry Owens. Then I will say,
do not get rid of Henry Owens.
Then I will say fire Ben Cherington. I swear to God, if they get rid of either of those guys, then I can say fire because I like Owens. I also like Brendan Workman.
I like Workman too.
This might sound crazy, but I actually think the knuckleball guy, right? He could eat some innings, and sometimes you need guys in that rotation to eat innings.
I have no problem with that. At least trying it.
Yeah,
I'd rather that than a lot of these other options.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd rather try some things. They have all these young guys. They have all these prospects that they supposedly have. I never liked the Cespedes signing, but at least he had a freaking gun in right field. You could have put Betts in freaking center or left or whatever. I don't know. You could have done a million different things here instead of doing what they've done. I don't quite understand it. You're right. The bullpen still has enough arms. Henry Owens cannot go. He will be in the rotation by the end of this season. I have it. He last season he figured it out in the minors. His walk to strikeout ratio completely flipped.
I saw that. Yeah,
it was fantastic. And I'm a huge big. That's how you sell a pitcher to me. Walk to strikeout ratio, strikeout to walk ratio, and it's fantastic for Owens. Owens, and he's a former first-round pick, so you're expecting something like that will probably happen, as time goes on. And he did it. I do not want him gone for Cole Hamels, who is over 30. I do think Hamels is pretty much the same thing as having Lester, besides the fact that they pitch, one's a righty, one's a lefty. And I don't think there's any difference. I mean, there's difference.
They're both lefties.
Are they both lefties?
Hamels is a lefty.
Well, then there's really not much of a difference.
Something else. Nah, there's a big difference. What division does he pitch in?
He pitches in the NL East, but the point is he's been in the world. He's been a World Series MVP. He's pitched in the postseason well. He's also had some struggles during years.
Do not get rid of Owens or Swihart. If they get rid of one of those guys, I'm shooting Ben Cherington.
I don't think they should sign Hamels. I didn't think they should sign Lester. So there you go. If anything, the only guy I would have signed someone maybe like Samardzija. I don't even know who else was out there for pitching, but
wasn't Scherzer out there?
Yeah, I wouldn't have signed him. The only guy I like that I actually think is a fantastic move was Porcello. The team that got the best pitcher in the last 2 years is the Tampa Bay Rays. They got Drew Smyly. Watch out. He's the guy that's going to end up being the Cy Young in the next couple of years. Everyone's got it completely wrong. That guy, the Tigers are the team that are going to go to hell pretty much.
Yeah, I like the pitching lineup for Tampa Bay big time. That's what I think I picked them to win the division last year, and yeah, whatever. I was wrong, but
well, it'll be them in Baltimore.
With that being said, I mean, their rotation looks good. They got some nice, solid arms in there. Moore, I know, is hurt. He's coming back from injury, so he'll be back later in the year. But Smyly, great pickup. I mean, put him with what's his name, Archer,
and Cobb.
And Cobb, yeah. I mean, Tampa Bay just seems to roll out these young guys all the time. They'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Exactly. I don't even get the Tigers, who didn't give Smyly a chance last season after he's a first-round pick, and the guy – this shouldn't be about Drew Smyly. I'll get away from that. Whatever. Just know Smyly never got a chance in Detroit. He was the fifth starter, but he was always pulled out if anyone else came around or if there was some rain or whatever. He got thrown out of the rotation. They didn't treat him right. They made him a long reliever half the time. Dumb move, Tigers. But this show is not about the Detroit Tigers. It's the Boston Sports Brew, so – I don't care.
Oh, man, I really can't wait until we do our predictions for the Major League Baseball season. I wonder where we're going to pick the Red Sox.
Great Lord. I've already told you what I think pretty much in the entire American League. I just think, okay, put it this way. If this offense were to stay perfect all year and everyone were to reach expectations and everyone were to stay healthy.
And, yeah, they're going to win the AL East.
Then yes, exactly, because they'll be like one of those Yankee teams, or at least they'll do pretty well because they will be an offensive juggernaut. But I don't see that happening. I don't even see it close to happening.
No.
And the pitching is not going to be able to carry them. Porcello is a good pitcher. I say I like him, but I like him as like the number 3, maybe a 2 eventually.
Oh God, they have, like I said at the beginning, they have a bunch of 3 and 4s in their rotation, and I just don't see it. I really don't.
I know, and we all can remember back to the day. I mean, you and I, Mattious, when Buchholz was coming up from the minors, we went to watch him in Pawtucket to see, because it was Clay Buchholz is coming up. Come watch his curveball, all this. I remember going with him to the game.
I saw him throw a no-hitter. I saw Lester throw a no-hitter. Buchholz, this is the year for Buchholz. I'm not really sure what his contract is. Should probably look it up while we're speaking, but it usually screws us up. But with that being said, this is a big year for Gumby. It really is. He needs to really suck it up and not take 8 months or 2 months out with a hangnail or not, ooh, this hurts, ooh, that hurts. He sounds worse than like my 95-year-old grandmother. He really does. And she goes through her pains a lot better than a guy who's like 28. She doesn't complain as much as this guy. Like, he is such a wimp when it comes to this stuff. And now we're going to depend on him as the ace. You better really suck it up this year. Seriously.
I mean, it doesn't look good. Masterson has proven he can pitch in Boston before. He pitched really well that one postseason when they made it to – they played Tampa in the ALCS.
Yeah, but
he was very good.
Yeah.
I have no problem. Masterson's had points of brilliance, and he's proven he can play in this market. So, Masterson, fine. Like you said, fine. Fine is what I say. Not to say that he's going to be great. Just fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
Fine. Exactly what I said. That's all right, though. We got Cy Young Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And Cy Young Joe, I don't know where he comes out with that because his stats don't even come close to proving that's going to happen. Not to mention he pitched in St. Louis, which everyone there somehow does well. No one gets on the field in St. Louis and struggles. They can struggle everywhere else, and it rejuvenates people. Or in the case of young guys, they just play well. Everyone plays well in St. Louis. So I don't care. And he wasn't even that great. He was all right. Now he's sitting here with the Red Sox. He's going to get burnt to hell for that comment he made, especially once he has his first game where he only makes it, 3 innings and gives up 4 home runs. He'll be roasted in Boston, and he will then be jettisoned, or he might not be jettisoned. He'll start crying like Carl Crawford, and we'll have a big problem with that then.
That's the aspect we haven't even talked about at all in this scenario. You got all these new guys coming in here. Not everybody can play in Boston. Just ask our little boy Carl Crawford. Some guys get their little feelings hurt. We have a lot of guys here that are crazy that are cynical, that are negative, that are going to be on your ass every single day. Can Hanley handle that? Can Fatso at third base handle that? Can these new pitchers that we have actually handle that? I mean, there's a lot of questions that go with this. It's not an easy place to play.
No, it's not, especially because Boston, I have to say, I mean, I love all the teams, but I would say that Boston is truly a Red Sox city. It's baseball. It's not even baseball. It's Red Sox, because you'd say hockey maybe, but I'd say it's a Red Sox city. That everyone is obsessed. They watch it. I mean, it goes, people every day, every pitch, all this stuff. If you sit in there and listen to sports talk radio, I mean, they just left and right. They can break down games. All the fans. I mean, it is all about baseball in Boston. And when the Red Sox do bad, you will hear from all the columnists, from the sports talk radio, from the TV. TV stations a little less, but you're gonna hear. You will hear it. There'll be blogs now. There's websites. There's so much.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing. There's 100 billion games, so it gets really tiresome after a while if you're sucking. Like, okay, you can suck in football, but it's only one game a week. You suck in baseball, right. It really adds up. You're right. And I mean, we can debate whether or not it's a baseball city. Was it a baseball city? Is it a baseball city? I feel like it's kind of swayed a little bit away with the success of the Patriots as well as with the Bruins. I mean, you look back in time, the Celtics were big. They really were. It's a city where we've had a lot of success, so it's really tough to figure out whether it truly is a baseball city. But the fact of the matter is, this team, what it's constituted for the entire season, it's gonna make this podcast, as well as other radio programs and conversations, pretty interesting throughout the year, because there's going to be a lot of sub stories to talk about.
Exactly, a lot to talk about, and that's what we like to hear here at the Boston Sports Brew. It's going to be fantastic. So everyone, don't forget to like our Facebook page and go check us out on Twitter. What's our Twitter handle again, Mattious?
It's at BOS Sports Brew, so that's at BOS Sports Brew. And don't forget to download our show on our Facebook page. That seems to be an issue for people. And Droz and I are going to be taking a look at that in the future, and we're going to try to be linking our podcast with iTunes. So that's going to be another spot where you could easily be accessible for you as a viewer. So take a look at that spot and make sure you keep touch to see when we do that by looking at our Facebook page in the future.
Yeah, we're going to make this as easy as possible for you to get your dose of the Boston Sports Brew. But for now, just make sure when you push the link, you push the link, it's not going to pop up and just start playing. You do have to download the link. Until then, though, until we get it onto iTunes and fix it, even then you're going to have to download it, actually. It's always a download thing. But we'll make it easier. It shouldn't come out as such a big file and whatnot. But anyways, thanks again, everyone, for listening to the Boston Sports Brew, and have a fantastic week. Next week, I'm sure we're going to have some more Celtics and Bruins. Either the Bruins are going to be tanking, the Celtics may have made trades, and everyone could be gone, or they could be the same. And
franchise tag with the Patriots, you never know.
Yeah, who knows what's going to go on there. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. There always is a lot to talk about in Boston, because Boston loves sports. We love sports. This is the Boston Sports Brew. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. For Mattious, I'm Droz. Enjoy your week.